All right, welcome back and thank you so much for staying with Morning Live. And now 7 people lost their lives and 7 others were injured and are recovering in hospital after fire broke out at the Cape York building in Johannesburg's inner city yesterday. The building has been declared a crime scene for the duration of this investigation. But to give us an update, we joined in our studios in Johannesburg by Herman Mashaba. He is the executive mayor of the City of Johannesburg. And Dr. Mashaba, good morning to you and thank you so much for coming through.
Good morning. Thank you very much. And good morning to the listeners at home and across South Africa.
Yeah, and I think the first question really is, what might have caused the fire? Because we're getting conflicting reports. Some people are talking about a generator, some are talking about illegal electricity connections.
Look, the police have declared the site a crime scene, and I hope that they'll give us a sense before we all speculate as to what caused the fire. Yeah. But I think just to really give the viewers and people of this country a sense of what's happening, this is the very same building just over a month ago when I was called where the police were reluctant to go in there. Family from Soweto, daughter was kidnapped, so we had to go into that building. And I'm sure people of this country would remember how when I came out of that building I was shocked. This is the very same building. Minister of Police, the Minister Mbalula, was there 2 weeks ago. He actually confirmed some of my findings. Yeah. But I think for me, my biggest challenge with what's happening in the inner city, this is a manifestation of many years of neglect, of us allowing the breakdown of the rule of law. On the 1st of December 2016, on my 100 days of giving the residents of Johannesburg a sense of my administration, I raised one particular matter around the inner city, hijacked buildings, the criminality. And immediately, I'm sure South Africa would remember how I was insulted, called names, because unfortunately enough, I never apologized. I wanted South Africa, and I wanted us all of us as residents. If we're going to allow this breakdown to continue, we can only suffer more. Because this is one of over 80 buildings where our people are living under deplorable conditions. And I think we need intervention.
But for the fact that you were there in, I think it was in less than 2 months ago when obviously you went to search for Kitso Mutibe, you saw the conditions and the circumstances that people were living in. What did you do as the mayor, as someone that is responsible for the safety and the lives of the residents of Johannesburg?
Well, I think the reality of the matter is that as the City of Johannesburg, we operate under the constitutional framework of the South Africa. We're a municipality. Some of the laws are not our competency, they're the competency of the national government. When we deal with the question of immigration, let us not really run away from this particular matter. It's a very sensitive matter. It's a very practical matter that South Africa needs to face and face head on, unless we then accept that we're going to see more of this type of incidences. We're sitting in the city of Johannesburg with so many of foreign people with no documentation whatsoever. And I've been calling, and I'm calling on national government, please assist us, because as a city of Johannesburg, my budget to be able to provide services to our residents, it's very limited. Yeah. Right now, in the city of Johannesburg, I sit with over 300,000 housing backlog of our people in Soweto, in Diepsloot, everywhere else, expecting us as a city to provide housing for them with a very limited budget. Now, what do I do when I have to really now provide houses and services to our people? Do I start with hijacked buildings occupied by people I don't know who they are? But
those buildings in reality, they belong to private owners, don't they?
Some of them belong to the state.
Yeah, but what have you done? Have you not perhaps been in conversation with private owners?
Yeah, no. You ask yourself, why people left their buildings. People left their buildings over the last 20 years because of the breakdown of law and order. When you build a place in South Africa, you don't have a government that protects you. What happens? Then you allow the slum lords to take over these buildings, these hijacked buildings, charging our people the rentals. But you look at their living conditions. That is why I'm saying it then becomes the responsibility of government to ensure that if you're looking for investments in your country, make sure that the rule of law becomes supreme. But then when you allow government to neglect its responsibility to ensure that investors are assured that when you invest in South Africa, your money is secured, your money is safe, that you can one day see the returns. Now, that is why we've seen the flight of money out of South Africa, because people are concerned that South Africa is becoming a lawless society.
So are you basically saying that your hands are tied? There is nothing that you can do
unless
the national government steps in?
Absolutely. There's no way that we're going to sit back as a city of Johannesburg under my leadership. We are going to do everything possible.
And what is everything possible?
Within the constraints of our constitution. But things that I cannot really do. I don't have the powers as a city of Johannesburg to offer people...
Yeah, the issue of illegal immigrants is there, obviously, like you said, the national government must step in. Yes. But the issue of buildings within your cities,
yes.
What are you going to do?
Tell me, when buildings are occupied by people, a big number of people with no documentation, I don't know who they are, what must I do? Because I'm expected by the constitution of this country, by the courts, that I must provide these people with alternative accommodation. Now, tell me, must I now take the money of people of Johannesburg, residents who have been waiting in Soweto everywhere, living in backyard dwellings, living in informal settlements, must I take their money to provide accommodation to people who I don't know who they are? That is why I'm asking national government, please assist me to take these people out so that I can negotiate with the owners of this building so that we can have the private sector to develop them, to build a low-cost, affordable accommodation for our people. I will engage national government until one day that they listen to me.
Yeah, but in the meantime, what happens, Mia, because lives are being lost, and as you said, there are about more than 85 buildings in the inner city. So what happens?
Please assist me. Please, I need your assistance. I need every South African to assist me to get national government who are tasked by the constitution to ensure that our immigration laws are respected. For as long as, obviously, I don't get the cooperation of national government, I will have a challenge. We can do it. I can this morning send JMPD to go and raid these buildings. All these people with no documentation, tell me where I must take them to. Anytime. We will do it tomorrow. But at the end of the day, as a city, we respect the constitution of this country. We respect the laws of this country. What we are saying is, where obviously we are tied by national government, we will raise this matter because, fortunate enough, we live in a democratic space. And the public out there, the 50+ million South Africans, are the ones who've got to really make a decision. Yeah. Are we happy to live under those conditions? Because we are the ones who decide which government must be the ones to ultimately ensure that we live in a safer country.
All right. And then your MMC for public safety was also quoted as saying that apparently there is an ongoing court battle regarding these buildings. What's the court battle about?
Yeah, no, the courts, and I think the courts are fair to say, as a city, when you move these people, you evict them from this building, give them alternative accommodation. And us as a city of Johannesburg, we accept and respect the court decision. We think the court decisions are fair. The challenge for me is that if I go and evict people, and more than half of them don't have documentation. We are saying, as a city of Johannesburg, we do not have the resources to provide alternative accommodation for them. That's why I'm actually appealing to some of the lawyers, human rights lawyers. I'm appealing to the international community that are saying, as we must provide accommodation, please give us the money, give us the resources. If you give me the resources of undocumented people as well, we will do that. But we're sitting with a huge challenge. That is why I'm saying is we cannot really take this as an isolated case. This is part of a bigger problem of us as a country over the years, allowing the breakdown of the rule of law.
All right. So are you perhaps willing maybe to engage your counterparts on a national level on this matter?
I have.
You have before, but are you going to do it again?
I write letters to them literally on a daily basis. I invite them, but unfortunately, they've decided to ignore my pleas. But I hope one day, I hope this fire, the loss of 7 of our residents, is going to be a signal to them that we are, all of us, by refusing to engage, we are failing our society, we're failing our people, and we're failing our economy. Our economy today is in a recession. We sit in the Johannesburg, we've just had a few weeks ago the latest unemployment stats. We're sitting at a 14-year high on unemployment numbers. So the only way we can address unemployment We need economic activity. And we're not going to get economic activity in a country where there's no rule of law.
All right, going back to the issue of Cape York building, we've seen some reports that some of the residents started moving back to the very same building that burned yesterday.
Well, our instructions working with the law enforcement agencies is that no one should go into that building because that building is now obviously declared a crime scene. I believe, yes, some people were desperate to go and get the belongings in, but I think the police, and that is also a national competency. A crime scene like this cannot be handled by JMPD. It's a national competency. We are asking the national police, please ensure that no one goes into this building so that we want you to establish the real cause of this fire so that if there's any criminal activity, that there has to be consequences. So I'm appealing to our national police, please don't allow anyone to go into this building for now until such time that you can let us know what caused this fire. Because, as I say, if there's any criminal act behind this, there has to be consequences.
All right. So you were there, you went to visit the area yesterday, and obviously you were in contact with some of the residents. But in terms of the families of those who've lost their lives, were you able to talk to them and see them?
Well, fortunately enough, our social development department, our community development, they are engaging them up to last night. And obviously, I think we'll get further reports. We will do everything in our power to ensure that we assist those that actually require help.
But this is quite a big challenge. If you're looking at the number of buildings, 85 buildings. So this is a disaster in waiting.
No, and I think let's just really take in the inner city. What about the informal settlements? 181 informal settlements where our people don't even have basic services like a toilet. So I'm sitting in the city of Johannesburg, the city that I've inherited, 180 billion rands of infrastructure backlog, with only 10 billion rands to address this on an annual basis, maximum. So I'm sitting with a huge challenge, and I think it's a question of ensuring that I think we work with provincial, national government. Let us face this matter. Let our community know what we are facing. We work together over the next few years to address this matter. That's the reason why we're seeing all this protest every day. You can't blame our people for them to live under those conditions. But at the same time, I can assure you, our success is going to depend on our honesty, saying we failed you. These are our challenges. Let us work together over the next few years to address them, because we're not going to address them overnight. It's impossible.
All right. And Herman Mashaba, we'll leave it at that, but thank you so much for chatting to us.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, there you have it. Herman Mashaba is the executive mayor for Johannesburg Metro, talking to us, of course, about this devastating fire that killed 7 people, and 7 others are still in hospital with bad injuries. And this happened, of course, at the Cape York building in Johannesburg's inner city. Talk to us about this situation at Morning Live SABC. It's our Twitter handle. What do you make of my conversation with the mayor, and what do you think should be done to avoid the disaster that we have seen unfolding at the Cape York building yesterday? Morning Live SABC, it's our Twitter handle. Let's take a break here on the show.